Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with the Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to be by myself for this week talking about VPR and Beverly Hills, but let's just dive right into it. I'm enjoying my root beer flavored Olipop. They're so good if you guys have never had one. It's like a probiotic soda, kind of like those poppy ones. 35 calories, super good. So I'm having that in my Goodbye Kyle stemless wine glass with a little round cubed ice for a nice little afternoon treat. I'm going to do Vanderpump Rules first. When we first come into the house, can I just say, Ariana's room, I know she's going through a lot. This is only 3 months post Sandoval, and she's traveling a lot, but her room gives me hoarder vibes and anxiety every time we see it. It's just like shit is thrown all over the place. I'm very organized, so her room, every time we see it, is like making me anxious and giving me agita. She needs to have like an assistant. Like Tom should just have his assistant jump ship to Ariana, I feel like, because you can tell that poor Ann woman, she does not want to be there. I mean, she's probably like, I didn't sign up to like text your ex all day long and like buy batteries and that's all I'm doing for you. Like, I feel like she deserves Employee of the Year, month, all time. I know that since the show has filmed, she has quit and nobody blames her. Like, not enough money could pay you for that job. But yeah, maybe Anne could be like Ariana's assistant. That'd be kind of funny. And then maybe she could clean and organize her room. Or Ariana needs to get like the home edit in there. Those girls that are on Netflix, I really like them. But Tom is fully in this episode, which is just going to be so annoying to watch. He is wearing a woman's blazer. Can we just clarify that too? Like, he is wearing a green Chanel-looking tweed women's blazer. So he says that he has been sent so much hate for Sandoval, and it's like, I wonder why, Tom. Couldn't put my finger on why you're getting sent hate mail and why people are calling you bad names. And then they like flash them on the screen, like the things it said. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if it was all people he knew? That would be funny. And then he's saying he feels betrayed by Schwartz because Schwartz went on Jax and Brittany's podcast. And first of all, let me just say, just like any of these TV shows, they probably sit in there, especially since Tom is friends with them, and talk for a while, but they're just going to edit and piece together what's the most dramatic, just like these TV shows. So he's acting like Schwartz totally dogged him the whole podcast, which I didn't listen to it, but I can't even see Schwartz dogging him at all. And again, it's like, take some accountability and shut up. People are going to call you a jerk off or worse words, and your friends are going to like have a little hate for you, and you need to deal with it. And people would forgive him and Raquel faster, probably never Ariana, but like the others, if they just took some accountability and let it soak in with the name calling for a little bit. You deserve the hate and name calling for a little. Tom said he has bought a white noise machine in the hallway to, I guess, make their lives more comfortable. I don't know if he thinks like Ariana is like talking about him, or he doesn't want to hear her talking to Raquel and them sending each other packages, because they are kind of still communicating at this point. So I think Ariana's just blessed he bought that machine so she doesn't have to hear his annoying screeching voice, honestly. Then he's just talking with his assistant, saying that he wants to have like a party because it's his birthday, but it's like, your party is probably going to be like all paid guests because can't name a single friend that you have, especially on this cast. You ain't having any of them come except like Schwartz. But he's like, yeah, maybe you could text Ariana and just tell her that I could like buy her like a really nice hotel room for the night. So it's like, not only do you want to have a party, and Ariana has said that when he has parties, like even when they were in love and everything was fine and they were together, he would have parties there like so late the neighbors wouldn't complain. And it's like, that's annoying. But it's extra annoying, he thinks, 3 months after he screws their life up and betrays her and does this to their life and her, that she's just going to leave for the night so he can have a party in their house. Like, emphasis on it's both of their houses. And that's why this poor woman is like trapped in there. I feel bad for her. But she doesn't want to leave because it's her house, which I understand. And this is when I feel so bad for Anne. So we feel bad that she even has to deal with that demon, Tom Sandoval. But we feel bad when she's dragged in this messiness and has to like talk to Ariana about it. And you could tell Ariana is like being so passive aggressive because she knows at the end of the day, it's not Anne's fault, but it's like hard to not show a little rage when she's talking to her. So this is when I really feel bad for her too. So Ariana said that is extremely disrespectful and she will call the cops if people are at her house. And I was like, oh shit. So then, and then Anne is like, oh, okay. Like, it just feels so bad for her. She's probably like, fuck my life. Oh, excuse me. Usually I never curse on this. Sorry for the F-bomb. See, now I'm all flustered because I never say the F word. I'm so sorry. I will put in the description that I drop an F-bomb at the beginning. James and Allie go on a walk and they're talking about wanting to get a dog. And then James is reminiscing about Graham Cracker. And now we know that he is reunited with Graham. So can I also side note, this is why the show almost feels like dated because we already know what's happening current day. So like watching all of this is like watching old home videos almost. It's like we're watching the past because we already know that Graham is reunited with James, which is so amazing. But they're talking about that they think they're ready to have a dog. And then it does flash him talking to Lisa about Graham. And she's like, oh, Raquel is gone. Do you know where Graham is? And James is like, basically like, no, like I didn't even know where the dog was when she was here. Like, you think I know the whereabouts and her family or her decide to call me and ask, which that's what I mean. They should have just asked if he wanted the dog, if no one wanted to take care of it from the beginning. But they were so petty that like they didn't want to do that. But Tom's friend, which is not his friend, let's emphasize, it's his band manager, so he pays him, so that's not your friend. This is how he's referring to his friends these days, though. Like, his band, and, like, the only people I guess you can call the friends are, like, Schwartz and Kyle Chan, the jewelry designer. But, like, he's literally, like, considering his, like, vocal coach, his band manager, his bandmates that he pays, like, his friends. It's like, no, they're just paid to be around you. So he has this guy, Jason, come over, and he says that he's just so grateful that he's stuck around. And it's like, well, he's only stuck around because he's your band manager. He's being paid by you to stick around. And Tom said he very much still loves Raquel in the confessional. I was like, oh my God, so terrible. And now it's kind of like, well, haha, joke's on you. She's like blocked you and ignores you. And like, what an idiot move on your part, blowing up your whole life, and it wasn't even worth it. So it's like double depressing. And then the award-winning assistant, Anne, comes out, and they're just talking about the party, and he was like, oh, like, what did Ariana say? Ugh. And she's like, yeah, she said she's gonna like call the cops if you have a party. And then like the band manager, Jason, like raises his eyebrows like, oh my gosh, are you serious? It's like, also the funny thing is like, you own or part owner of 2 restaurants. Like, you can't close it down or like have like a offset space for your stupid little birthday party that, like, let me guess, you're celebrating and lying and saying you're like 39 for like the 3rd year in a row. But then we like find out that he's banned from going to Schwartz and Sandy's, which is a joke. And Lisa's probably like, oh no, Tom's too busy. You can't have the space. Other paying customers are coming. I'll just have it at your house, darling. Because that's what I would do. Like, it's like he's not even giving Ariana some space in their house. And he's like, oh, well, she's going to be at Emo Nite anyway. So like, maybe just tell her that, like, I'll have everyone out by midnight. Because Ariana said he would have people there till, like, 6 in the morning. Like, clearly you could tell none of these people have a 9 to 5 and have to get up that are like attending these parties. That's restaurant life though. They stay up super late after their shifts because their night doesn't even begin until their restaurants close down. So super late. But that is just so annoying to the neighbors. So I see why, like, people are probably like, oh my God, we hope you don't buy Ariana out. We just want you gone forever. If anything, we'd rather her stay in the house. But then when it cuts to the commercial, so I don't know if you guys have noticed, but everyone has been getting these little like commercials in between. Like Lala did like some movie the other week. The Toms get a commercial. I'm like, no, why are we rewarding the bad behavior? Like, bad behavior. Did we like feel bad for them that they weren't in a commercial? But that was annoying. And now he can't cry and say, oh, I'm not profiting off a scandal. It's like, well, it looks like you're beginning to now. But then when we come back, we see Lala and Ariana meet at this like super cute place. These are the only times that I like wished. I don't really want to live in like the city, but I want like the restaurant amenities of the city, like this cute little place they go to called like What a Peach. And it's just like painted like light pink and has peaches all over. And they're getting like smoothies. Looks just like super cute, super girly. Something I would totally waste all our money on if that was here. So then Ariana is just telling Lala because Lala asked about the living situation. So Ariana is just saying that like Tom wanted to have a party and she said she'd call the cops. And then Lala is saying that she should compromise. And she's like, it is his house too, which is true. I do have to agree with that. But the thing is that Ariana's trying to say is like, he ruined everything just 3 months ago. You would think he would like relax, be remorseful. But instead it's like, he is like a narcissist where it's just about him. Like a day can't go by that he's not like, oh yeah, but what about me? And it's like, no one cares about you. Or like you have all these friends you claim, go to one of their houses. Or do none of them have a house? Like, but just go to like a Chuck E. Cheese at this point. I mean, my God, or something. I mean, he's a child anyway. He might as well celebrate his birthday party there. Then Ariana's like, well, I guess it is fine if he has like a small party. And the assistant just even text me about like a compromise if he had like 12 people and if they were out by like a certain hour. And she is going to be at Emo Nite anyway. So like, she is probably like, all right, I guess I'll do this. But I mean, I understand if she doesn't want people like naked in their pool screaming till 6 a.m. And she said they'd leave the house a mess. So that's not fair to her. I mean, this isn't like a fraternity. And just me looking at her room, getting anxiety about it. You guys know that I'm a neat freak. So I would be like, definitely like, get all this crap out of here. But Lala is telling Ariana that he is totally getting off on making her feel uncomfortable. So the more you kind of do complain and say stuff, he's just going to keep pushing it. But Ariana's like, if I don't stand up for myself, he will walk all over me, which agreed. And he should be remorseful. And then she's just talking about her new man, Dan, and that he has totally changed her mind about starting a family. Now, this was super interesting and emotional, I feel, to listen to, because usually you're pretty dead set, like, I want kids or I don't want kids. And she was always very dead set, like, I don't want kids. And Tom was the one that was like, I want kids. Now she said meeting somebody else and being with like a partner that makes her feel equal, and like if she can only give 10% one of the days, that he's going to pick up the slack and give the 90%. Because yeah, also if you want to have kids, you can't be having like naked Coors Light orgy parties in the backyard till 6 a.m. Like the baby will be screaming, and then I guess Ariana would be inside taking care of it. Or if you're like touring around Los Angeles and other dump hole places with your 2-for-1 deals for your cover band, like she'd be raising the baby that you more wanted. So that was very interesting to hear that though. And that makes me happy that she's in a nice non-toxic relationship. I do still think she got in the relationship too soon, but glad she's happy, glad that she is thinking about having a family. Then Lisa is getting glammed up because Pump is coming to a close, which we already knew that, again, watching like things of the past. So I guess they had a 10-year lease. They were not going to renew it for another 10 years. And may I say, that's also like a really long time. I don't know if that's like they want them to have a 10-year lease, or Lisa does it to get like a locked in rent, like leasing rate, so it can't raise up. So I would imagine though, if it was in a controlled, non-raised up deal, that yeah, 10 years. And then when they go to get you on the next contract, they're definitely gonna put a lot of interest in that they missed over those 10 years. But that is a long time to guarantee 10 years. But that was just like a little glimpse of the party, and they all came. But Schwartz meets up with Sandoval. Sandoval's bringing him like some like rock climbing shoes, I feel like, because he just did that stupid show in New Zealand where he's like, yeah, I like cried so much and like climbed mountains, and now like my head's clear, and like I don't drink at the moment just because Rachel's in like treatment for respect. But as soon as she busts out of there, I hope we can have like Coors Light and like turn the laser lights on and like just like old times. But so annoying. But then Sandoval is just like, again, not taking any accountability. And he's like complaining that he can't go into Schwartz and Sandy's. And it's like, I don't think right now, like the restaurant's suffering enough. I don't think if you walk through the door, it's going to like help. Like, I don't know why he would even want to go in there. But I'm also curious, since it is like his restaurant, how everyone can tell him like, you can't come in. Because he's physically not allowed to come in. It's not like he's just listening to them or taking advice and like, oh, okay, I won't come in. Like, he literally can't come in. So that's very interesting. I don't know how they get around that. But Lisa is saying that she doesn't think it's Sandoval's fault for people not coming into the bar. I don't really know why she said that, because she used to all the time when they would be buck wild and serving at Sir, she's like, your bad like reputation can reflect the restaurant. Okay, so you don't think Sandoval doing all that isn't bad reputation reflecting the restaurant? Because it's like, if you can do that, how are you going to run this restaurant? And like, yes, people grow very attached to these people. They're out for blood. They're coming in and they want to make Sandoval hurt because he's hurt our queen Ariana. But that was just a selfish lunch. And Schwartz is like, you need to take accountability. Like, even Schwartzy, even though now we fast forward to they're just totally fine vacationing like best buds all over together, he is at least telling him like, you need to eat it and say sorry and just like keep your mouth shut. Like, the thing he's doing is like, tell him like, oh, I'm sorry, man, but, and it's like, no, but, stop saying but. And then he's saying that Ariana has not paid any of the bills for 8 months. I mean, just no, that is not accurate. So after I recap this, I'm going to talk a little bit about the after show. So we'll like deep dive in detail more about that. But I just find that so ridiculous he's saying that. Just so annoying. But then we see our girl Sheena going into the recording studio. She is remixing Good as Gold with some emo screaming. Now, seeing her get in that recording studio and scream emo was pretty funny. I did like my share of like some My Chemical Romance, little emo music back in the day. Who didn't? I'm like the same age as all of them. So like that was like our time, our music. So I would be so interested to go to Emo Nite. I need to see, like, the closest thing for us would be Philly if they do it there, because that would be totally fun. Like, get some of my girlfriends that we used to listen to that music in high school and go relive. Maybe we'll even, we can't commit to cutting side bangs forever, but maybe we could get like a hair piece and make like a side bang, because that was like the emo thing. I cut my own side bangs. Thank God they grew out, because that was just terrible. I took like fingernail clipper scissors and did it. But Sheena said she didn't want to do music after the music video she did with Brett in like 2019, all the hate she got on that. But it's like, it's because do you like ever watch that? Like, we know Brock probably had to YouTube it and watch it. And he's probably like, oh my God, this is so bad. She's like shaking and twerking her butt all over him. And he's like slapping it. And it's like, that's like X-rated, R-rated, I feel like, for YouTube views. Like, I feel like you should have to put your birthday year in to watch that music video. Very dirty. I mean, that was a little desperate when she made that. So, but like Tom is complaining, everyone's profiting off Sandoval. So what better time to redo her music career than right now? But Sheena is then kind of talking about her OCD back at the house with Brock and her mom. So they have her like family friend, Victoria, who I later found out she is the one that later in the season makes out with Tom Schwartz and Katie. She's the love triangle girl. So we're doubling up as her as a babysitter for Summer Moon and some like dramatic love triangle situation. So hopefully she'll like maybe be a friend of next year on the cast. But Sheena said she hasn't left Summer with a babysitter. Like obviously she's left her with her mom or like Brock, because obviously we do see her film scenes without the baby like at night. But that has to be rough. I mean, Summer, I know, is like the same age as our youngest and Ocean, because they were all like born the same time. So I couldn't imagine not leaving our kids to do like a date night. And sometimes like your family is busy and they can't do it. So we are blessed that we do have an amazing babysitter that takes care of our girls, and we trust her and love her so much. But I felt really bad that Sheena's OCD brain has kind of overtaken her thoughts into like, it's not that she doesn't want to, it's like she physically can't. And then Brock is giving her a little bit of a hard time. And then Sheena's mom, shout out, her name is Erica with a K also, is like doubling up and like, no. So I've kind of like, I know Brock was being a little like dick a little bit and like straightforward, just like a guy. Sometimes guys just don't think before they speak. But like Sheena and her mom are like, no, like doubling down. And then obviously at the end of the conversation, everything was fine. But when the Toms meet at lunch, I skipped ahead chatting about their lunch. I'm sorry. But he again said that he was like sober for the moment because of Raquel, which that really like stuck out in my brain. And I think it's still annoying that he's like talking about paying the bills. And the other thing I wonder is like, because Kyle does it all the time too, and I know Lala does too. These people are sober, but they're having non-alcoholic beer. So like, I mean, I get it because there's no alcohol in it, but like, does that mean it's just because you can't live without the taste of alcohol, but you just know that you can't have the alcohol anymore? But also like, Tom's just taking a break from it because we know he's drinking again. I mean, maybe he's somebody that should stay sober forever because maybe alcohol has influenced him being a cheater and a bad man. But he is just saying, again, like that he needs to give a shit and say sorry. And he said, it seems like you don't give a shit. And he's like, are you going to stick with me? And Schwartz is like, I'm going to do what's best for me. And we wished that that was the case because he really didn't. He pretty much caved, and he feels bad because he's just back in his Schwartzy way. But this is why he ended up getting divorced from Katie. Schwartz comes over to James and Allie's house and brings another plant. So the other week when we saw them meeting at dinner, he gave James a yummy scented candle and a plant. He's coming and bringing another plant because obviously he wants their house to look like his apartment with like 20 plants. That's a lot of maintenance too. I don't really do the indoor plants. I have one indoor like tree, a fickle fig tree, whatever it's called. That's pretty low maintenance, but I cannot keep indoor plants because I can't do the indirect sun, but they need sun. They don't need too much water, but they need water. When it's summer, I just thrive with the flowers outside in the garden. No indoor plants for me. But Allie is going to do a reading on Schwartz because she is an astrologer. I went on her Instagram today, by the way, to see that she does like the appointments because I was like, oh, I wonder like how booked she is or what she charges or like if she does virtual ones. It says she's booked for a whole year, every single day, every minute, every hour of the day. I don't know about that. I mean, good for her if she is. She's even profiting off Sandoval, I guess. But it's like, I find that a little hard to believe that like every second of every day you are booked. Because also, I see you flaunting around town shopping and stuff, so you have free time. I found that weird. So like for a whole entire year plus, you cannot get a reading from Allie. So nobody think they're going to get a reading, only Schwartz. But she's like reading his chart, and then Sandoval texts James in the middle of this reading about his birthday party because he's really obviously has nobody to invite besides the people he pays. And honestly, he probably even has to pay his band, vocal coach, band manager to come to the birthday party. They're probably like, yeah, we'll come, but like I'm on the clock. I'm really not your friend, and you could pay us to appear. So he just texts James and says, like, I understand if, like, you don't want to come, but, like, it'd be great if you swing by. And then James is like, he literally hasn't said a word to me in 3 months. And now this is, like, what he's going to send me. And he did answer, and he said, maybe we can pop by for a little. Because James, see, Tom is thinking, oh, goody, I have a friend coming. James has ulterior motives. His is he wants an apology face-to-face. And he knows it'll be good camera. Because also, we have to look at it double-sided. If this was real life, would you even want to waste time going to someone's house that you hate? For me, no, I wouldn't. But if I'm on a show and I know it'll make good TV and I'm just there for a couple minutes and the producers are probably like, you have to go to this, then I'm going to go. But Tom's assistant makes like a super sad looking balloon arch. I mean, I can't do like the professional ones, but I even make a better balloon arch than that for our kids' birthday parties. It was like a couple balloons. He's like, oh, and that looks great. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, does the store not even want to sponsor you and give you a balloon arch? Like the assistant has to make this sad little display it was like the slider doors leading to the pool, and it didn't even cover the whole like length of the door. Cause that's what you have to do too. That's what I do. I can't do the fancy like curved arch with the metal pole and all the different size balloons. I can't do that. But what I do is over our window in the dining room, clip it on each side and do like a U. Like she was attempting to do, but probably ran out of balloons. At the end of the day, just doesn't care. I'm sure she's like, don't even expect me to be at this birthday party because I don't want to. Here's your half balloon arch and all your Coors Light. Goodbye. The girls are getting ready to go to Emo Nite though, which I was like so excited to see that. Again, I would love to go to that if it comes to a nearby city for us. And James and Allie are on their way to the party, and he wants a apology. He is very gung-ho on getting that apology, and good for you, James. And Allie is like, I do not want to get out of the car, and I do not want to come in the party. And you know what? Best, and you are not missing anything, girl, by any means, because the party is lame. Not even a party, really. It's like, James walks in and he's like, I feel like I get in here and it's like, who's who? Like, who are these people? And then like the only person he recognized was like Billy Lee, which it's like, oh my God, please. Like, of course you would come and film. This is the part I think is messed up. You were friends with both of them. If you are friends with both Tom and Ariana, met them the same time, have like the same relationship with both of them, aren't really closer with one of them, it's equal, and he does this to Ariana, so he's in the wrong, you have to take Ariana's side because that's just not even right. But of course she wants her like 5 minutes of fame, so she's gonna come, oh my God, is this my chance to get back on the show? It's like, no, because no one cares what you're doing. You don't even work at SUR anymore, and we hate Tom. So if you're going to link to him, we're not going to like you. If anything, she should have linked to Ariana. She'd probably like be just recast next season and get like a commercial out of it probably. So not smart on her part. But it was so funny when James walked in. He's like, who are all these people? And then that one server, I forget his name. I want to say it's Brett. I don't know. But he was like, Yeah, can you just like tell me what like happened with Katie? Because she kind of pushed me out of the friend group. And James is like not even looking at him. He's like, yeah, I'm actually just here to like talk to Tom and get an apology. So like I don't even care about you and like you were never really in the friend group. So then I had to like research online who this guy was. So I was reading some comments on some post and somebody wrote that this is the guy. So he's like a server at either Sir or Tom Tom. So he was the guy that was in one of the scenes last season when Raquel was talking to Katie's mom and she was being like rude to Katie's mom and Katie stepped in and was like, don't talk to my mom that way. He was in the background making the fake like boo-hoo signs and Katie must have texted him and said like, you're so rude and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know why he thinks like Katie put like a hex on him and told everyone like, sent like an email like, let's boot him out of the group when A, I feel like you probably weren't even really in the group. And B, you did it to yourself because you were being rude and you're signing with Raquel. So after all this unfolded, I read that obviously everyone's like, you're like a fair weathered friend anyway. And if you're going to side with Raquel, which he did, he heavily took Raquel and Tom's side. So it's like, okay, well then you're going to be at this lame birthday party with like 5 people who you know nobody and you're trying to talk to James just to get on the camera too. Let's emphasize that. Like, because we know James doesn't know anything about what he's talking about or care, but he's like, oh, James showed up. Let me just go over and talk to him about something random because then I'll get on camera. So James goes in the front room to talk to Tom, and I feel like Tom is like excited to see him, thinking he's like again like a friend there. The only like real person we recognize there is Schwartz and now James. And James was like, you know, I just really have been like expecting an apology from you. And Tom is like, I know, I'm sorry. Well, no, he didn't really say I'm sorry. He's like, I know. He said I know. So it's like you're still not even going to say sorry. He's like, I know. And then James is like, because, you know, I just feel like you did the ultimate betrayal. And then Tom is like, I betrayed you? And he's like, James, what you did 10 years ago. And it's like, this is what everyone is talking about. And when your best friend Schwartz, who is like your only real friend and ally, is telling you that you need to be quiet and just say sorry. Like, why are you talking about 10 years ago, Kristen Doty with James, who's like 21 years old at the time. You and Kristen were like violently fighting anyway. She had already cheated on you with Jax. You already cheated on her with like people and Ariana. And it's like, they definitely should have just broken up. I don't know why they stayed in that relationship so long. I feel like they did because they were like on TV at that point together and thought if they would have broke up, one of them would have been booted off the show or fired from Sir. So they're probably like, shit, we can't do that. But it's so annoying. James is like, I can't believe you're going to bring up 10 years ago right now. Like, you're so immature. You have so much growing up to do. Like, you're such a joke. And then he leaves and he goes outside, pees on his bushes. I mean, this is why James is now the number one guy in the group. Like, I'm sorry, hands down. And his confessionals are giving me life. Every scene is just so funny. His comments on it, he's just like, I would love to see him on The Housewives, like do the commentary that they do. I mean, he is hilarious. And he's like, is it illegal to pee in someone's bushes? And then Allie's in the car putting the window down. She's like, it's Ariana's bush too. And he's like, yeah, well, I hate Tom, so I'm just going to pee on the bush anyway. But so hilarious. So then he arrives at Emo Nite and he was just telling everyone that he went there and that he brought up the past, like the 10 years ago. And obviously everyone's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, this is why we hate him. And we're all at Emo Nite to like listen to like Taking Back Sunday and Dashboard Confessional and Hawthorne Heights and whatever else. I feel like Dashboard Confessional is an emo, but you know what I mean? Like that era. And just scream our anger out, but in a fun way. So Katie, Ariana, and Sheena get on stage because they made like the playlist for Emo Nite. And then it cuts to Lala going, y'all don't really know what emo music is. Is it like Nickelback? And I'm like, what? Nickelback? Like, even if you didn't listen to emo music, because I feel like she she's more into like hip hop and rap. I get it. But it's like, you know what emo music is. Like, it's like that screamo music, or like My Chemical Romance. Like, Nickelback is not emo at all, Lala. That is just like rock music. Also, side note, why does everyone hate Nickelback? I mean, I'm not saying I'm like their number one fan, but like, remember that era when everyone's like, oh my God, Nickelback's awful, or like, oh, embarrassing, Nickelback. And it's like, that was weird. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a lot more bad artists than Nickelback. I mean, I don't know why everyone was hating on them. They were all right. But then Sheena takes to the stage to do her emo Good as Gold, and it was pretty funny. And then she had Good as Gold on her butt on her sweatshirt. But I like Shishi rocking out and getting the emo vibe. Like I said, get it, you know? You deserve it. After all the heartache that all of them deserve all the opportunities and everything. Allie deserves to be booked out on her psychic readings for 5 years from dealing with that demon Tom Sandoval, because she had to help James deal with it. And everyone deserves all these deals except the Toms, Schwartz and Sandoval, honestly. Even Brock deserves a deal. But it's going to be interesting next week when we pick up and see more of like Tom's going to go around his whole paid party of guests that are being paid to be there and talk about how him and James just had that argument and like get more sympathy for himself. Like, did you guys notice like the dog is like following around Maya? And I was like thinking in my head, if dogs could talk, when Maya was like following him around, she's probably like, my God, when is mom coming back? Get these like loser people out of my house. These aren't even your friends. You're so annoying. Like, to be stuck in this house with you. When is she coming back? But usually, so I'll get into the after show. I never used to watch the after shows, but now I feel like this season I have been for them, and I watch one for Beverly Hills. The Vanderpump is great, and they're pretty short too. They're on Peacock the next day, and I like it because they just ask them questions. So like they have Lala, James, and Sheena, and then they have Katie and Ariana, and then of course just the two Toms, because that's the only one that would even want to film with him. Let's be real, in a sit down. So they just ask them questions about the episode, and then they all just kind of talk about it. So going back to the payment on the house and stuff. So Tom is like, yeah, Ariana hasn't paid any of the bills for 8 months, which is just like wild, because it's kind of like, well, if that is really the case, like he absolutely could take her to court, because it's not his responsibility to just pay the mortgages and bills just because he cheated on her and she not contribute at all. But then you get like the real version, because also I wouldn't even believe Tom if he told me his underwear was blue today, because all the lies and ruckus he caused, like no one's believing a word that comes out of your filthy mouth. So Ariana said that they used to have like an account that they would both equally put money into. So let's say like she would put 5,000, he would put 5,000, or like 1 month he'd do 10 and she'd do 10. So they had their own bank accounts, which thank God. And then they just had that one to put collective same amount money in for like the house. And she said they had auto pay on their bills, probably even like their mortgage, whatever. So she said then it all went to his account, and some loan that she even co-signed on, I think for the bar. Because probably what had to happen is this is all speculation and I'm just saying, probably though when he had to go get a loan, he probably had to show like a lot of amount of money he had in an account. So to make it seem like he had more money, he's like, okay, I gotta like just put all the money in this account and just show them proof of funds for this account. And she co-signed on it, she said. So that's terrible. What a mess that is. So who knows what's even happening with that, because I was always wondering if she did. And she said that he will just tell her, oh, well, you owe this. And she's like, all right, well, can I get it like itemized and show me, a little proof?
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, in everything.
He's showing her nothing. So it's like, yeah, I totally agree with her. Like, how are you going to just say, oh, well, you owe me this? And then how do I know it's real? Like, show me the bill. Show me where the money's going, Tom. And then she even said that he was overcharging her on the mortgage, she found out, which is crazy. So, like, he's just lying. Just show her the receipts and she'll pay. But she's not just going to empty-handedly give him money, which I agree. Like, have your assistant, Anne, that now has quit. So you're going to have to find a new one. And she'll probably quit too, and so on and so forth. But when you have them work for you for the short amount of time, have them type up like an Excel sheet of the amounts and then a copy of the bill. I need to see a copy of the bill. I ain't giving you nothing without proof, like we said. We need to see that proof. And then when he talks about, it's like acting like she's scamming him, not giving him any money, I'm like, oh my God. Every time he talks, that's all I'm thinking of, like screaming my head off. So poor Ariana, can't even imagine her. But the after show, then they were asking James, like, do you think you were being like dramatic, wanting an apology? And he's like, no, because, you know, I don't have to be best friends with him. It's just like respect. And like, I did look up to him because he used to be there in like my darkest times and everything. And then he was like, you know, he would like support me and everything. I mean, then Tom is like, oh, James and I weren't like that good of friends. Like I saw him once a month. Again. You paid for half of his Raquella, whatever it was called, engagement. So you're telling me you gave him all that money for that proposal and you're not that good of friends? Stuff a sock in it, Sandoval, please. Oh my gosh. And then poor Schwartz, you could tell, he is just sitting there on that chair contemplating like the mistakes he's made by sticking by Sandoval's side. Because he just can't even say like, yeah, that was mean of me. Or yeah, I shouldn't have brought up the Kristen thing. Or like when James was like, I really want an apology. He should have said, you know what, you're right. Because that was your ex-fiance and we are friends. And we were friends before Raquel ever even came into the picture. And I shouldn't have done that. Because like, it didn't have to be his current girlfriend or fiance for him to be upset. Like, I have never dated one of my friends' ex-boyfriends because that's weird. Like, no, because then if that happens, like something like the Tom and Raquel situation, like James is like, now I'm wondering if all those times when we were all together or going on like trips and him being around us is like, did he always like her when I'm with her? Was something happening when we were together? Did she call off our engagement because of you with your wormy mustache? Like very unsolved answers and mysteries that we'll never get. Because also if he's like, oh no man, I didn't like Raquel then. It's like, we couldn't believe you because why would we believe anything you say? You have led us down the path to never believe a word that comes out of your disgusting mouth ever again. So watching the after show is pretty good. But now we are going to move shifts and go on to Beverly Hills. So we are back in Spain. We're picking up right from last week. Sutton is still upset. She's talking to Kyle, finishing the conversation, that she just is getting overwhelmed. It's the day they're going to release Merce's ashes, and she feels like she's not only releasing that, but the last 2 decades of her life. So her dad's passing and her divorce, which is like a death kind of in itself. Her friend Trevor comes back and they're getting ready to leave to release the ashes. And he's like, oh, all my friends just loved you guys. And Garcelle's like, even Erica? He's like, oh yeah. I feel like Trevor probably like especially loved Erica. I mean, Erica's just like a character, like in a good way, but like she gives real pizzazz, I think, to the group because she is kind of like, I feel like she's constantly like Erica Jane. Like, she's not just Erica. I guess we still call her Girardi. I don't even know what her, like, real, like, last name is. But her maiden name, I should say. But it's like, I feel like she's always her stage presence. She's always like stage performing. But sometimes that would be like, okay, well, are we getting your real self with the group? But I like the performance. I like it. Trevor and Sutton on the bus are just talking about the gay men that are currently vacationing in Spain. And they say it's the bear season. So Erica knows all the jargon for all of this. She's saying, yes, that means just like a big fuzzy gay man. And then there could be cubs, baby cubs, and this and that. And like, you know, she knows the most because she's surrounded by her queens around her. But then Garcelle brings up Andy Cohen, which is so funny because I feel like obviously we're watching these shows and we know it, like, Andy Cohen exists, but they never talk about him and we don't ever see him until the reunion, and they just like never speak about him. He's like a mythical creature that we know is like in existence, but they don't bring him up. So she said she had him on her podcast, which, side note, didn't know she had a podcast. I mean, honestly, I don't know who doesn't have a podcast these days. Like, everyone does, which is smart. But I mean, including myself. I'm talking about myself. Everybody has a podcast. She said that she asked him if he's a top or bottom. And he said, Garcelle, I'm a powerful top. Now, we would think nothing other than an answer like that from him. But Sutton is going to get out, give her speech, releasing the emotions for the Merce passing, the ashes. She talks about her divorce, her dad. She says she'd like all the ladies when she's done to come up and throw their flowers into the water and release something they want to leave behind. But before they do all that, she releases the ashes and there is like a gust of wind and it like flies back onto everyone. It is like getting in their mouths, getting in Garcelle's hair, getting all over Kyle's outfit. It's like, oh my God. And like, not to be weird and graphic, but it's like we saw her dump from the Ziploc bag into the little compact. So he's out of the Ziploc bag, everybody. It's crazy that that is a person. It looks like crushed up cinder blocks. If you really put aside that it's a person and your emotion to it, it's crazy. So we're basically getting crusty, crushed up cinder blocks into these ladies' mouths and hair and outfits. And it's like, oh my God, this is awful because this is like an emotional thing. And then Sutton's like, oh, that's just how the wind blows. Sorry, everybody. But then they all take their turns to release their flower necklaces into the water. And Garcelle goes first, and she says she wants to let go of feeling alone and abandonment issues. Crystal said her brother is moving away, so I guess she means letting go of him. And Anne-Marie, hers was like weird. She talked kind of fast, and then like all I got from it is like she wants to let like worry go and be happy. And I'm like, what the hell are you worried about? If you're going to be on this show again next year, because you should be worried about that, because I don't think you will be. Dorit wants to leave the PTSD behind, but then she's also like, I don't know if I'll leave it behind, but I want to, and I just want to talk about it again. So that was also confusing. Erica wants to let the past 2 years of pain go, and even pain they have caused her. And I was like, whoop, there we go, a little dig. Kyle, always Kyle is emotional, wants to let go of the guilt that she has about her friend Lorraine. If she could have said or done anything to have a different outcome. Her sister, so she is referring to Kathy, because at this time they are still not talking, and anything she's done to anyone in the group. Good old Kyle, always wanting everyone to get along. I will say that. She is like a peacemaker and wants that. So her and Garcelle's were the most emotional to me. Everyone else's were just, I understand Crystal's upset, but it's like your brother's a full-grown adult, and he's moving away from you and your mom because you're like suffocating him, I feel like, and not letting him be an adult. But then they all go back into town because Kyle is getting like the sweats because she's not shopping and spending money. So she's like, I need to go buy something. It's been enough time that I need to buy something. The credit card hasn't dinged yet. Crystal and Erica are like, we don't want to shop. We want to go off and have ice cream. And I'm like, same girl. That would be what I want to do. Even though I'd like to shop too. I'd like to get my ice cream and then shop with my ice cream. That's what I would like to do. But Crystal, it was nice. She apologized for contributing to any of Erica's pain. And Erica said, well, thank you. Because I feel like Crystal is now feeling like I better start being nice, because in the previous episode, we saw she went to the hospital and she's probably like, I don't know if Erica or Anna Marie put this hex on me to make me like pass out and get my blood pressure all high. So I better start being nice to the two of them. So I'm going to apologize, even if I think you should have returned those earrings. She's like, I'm sorry. And Erica's like, thank you. And then they all get back to the house and they're glamming. And Erica is gossiping yet again to her glam squad and just saying how she is just like really doubling down and wants an apology from all these ladies. And I'm kind of like, all right, like I do get it. But I also feel like they were just asking questions. And like we always say, they're on a show. They know they have to ask these questions. It's like all over the news. This is making good TV, so they have to ask. And they probably genuinely were curious as well. But some of them were a little rough on her. And I understand that Erica wasn't just going to give back earrings, because then they could have used that against her in court. And I think that's what the ladies weren't understanding. And she wasn't saying it in a nice, gentle way last year because she was so stressed out. So I think they also didn't like that. But then Kyle, the queen of own glam, love it. She's like, I am not bringing my own glam. She's like, I need to save money for buying all these Birkins I like to buy. I'm not flying a glam squad here. So she's doing her makeup, FaceTiming Sophia and Alexia, the two daughters. She's like, oh, hey, nice sweater, because Alexia stole Kyle's sweater. Then they show like a side-by-side of when Kyle wore it. She wore it in the episode when her and Morgan went to go get those tattoos. It was that pink and green Gucci sweater, which so cute. Like those color combos, the light pink and the light green reminded me of like Easter time. I don't know, like a pastel kind of Gucci sweater is cute. So I don't blame Alexia for stealing the sweater. I would too. Are you kidding me too? Like Kyle is like the same size of them, and no budget. She's shopping every day. I'd be totally in her closet wearing her clothes. I'm literally expecting that from my daughters. So I would be flattered if they steal my clothes, as long as they don't ruin them. That's fine with me. It's like complimenting like mom is stylish. I want to wear her sweater. So she said she worries about everyone's feelings, and with everything going on, she's just checking like if Portia and Mauricio, if anyone's going to eat dinner with them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like sad. And like we heard before that like Mauricio's like forgetting to take Portia to school. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Portia. Got to go get her a Porsche to take Portia to school. Get her own car. Well, she's getting her learner's permit now. I mean, I can't believe it. She was like in diapers when we saw her first on the show. And now she's going to be driving around, maybe in a Porsche. But this is why Kyle is just so emotional, and you feel bad for her. And whatever happens with her and Mauricio, you know it's going to be so amicable. Like, we know we've seen her be a little bratty and like, oh, I'm going to go get like all these little stencil doodle tattoos and you can't stop me. But she is like soft hearted. Like, she would be probably a breeze to deal with in a divorce. If she's mad at him right now, and if he did cheat on her, she's concerned if he's going to be eating dinner alone. I mean, how much nicer can you get with that? So they are all getting ready for their flamingo dinner, and they were all memoed to wear a red dress. And Sutton emailed them saying that and sent like the flamingo emoji dancer. Everyone is wearing a red dress but Kyle. She's wearing, honestly though, it was like orange red. It wasn't like orange. They were like really crucifying her though. They're like, Kyle, you're not wearing red. You're like so annoying. You're going to ruin all the photos. Like, in Photoshop, we're just going to have to like switch the color, make it red. I'm sure you could do that, honestly. I know you can on Photoshop, but I wouldn't even be shocked if you could do it on some phones now. I saw on the Google phone, you could just delete somebody off your picture. So let's say like you're in a picture with someone and you're you're like not friends with them anymore, you could just poof, delete you, and then like maybe replace them with a current friend you have. Or like if you're taking a picture somewhere and there's like some weirdo in the background making like an ugly weird face that you don't know, like just poof, delete you. That's pretty cool. I don't want a Google phone, but I'd like that feature. Apple, if you're listening, let's get that feature. Who knows? Sometimes I'm behind in technology. Maybe that exists, but I don't think so on the Apple phone. But we are watching all the ladies walk in heels on these cobblestones too. Now, I don't know if this was making anybody else nervous, but I was like, somebody is going to snap an ankle and they'll be at the hospital again. Crystal is like a pro and could take someone and tour them around the hospital there. But I mean, when I studied abroad, that was my first time going overseas. So, and I was in Italy. I, brought a couple pairs of heels because I was like, oh, we're going to go out, or like wedges. I couldn't even wear wedges over there. I mean, I probably could muster it up now and wear it. But back then when my parents came to visit me, I was like, here, you just take these pairs of shoes home with you in your luggage because I'm not wearing them. The most I did was wear like these low-heeled booties. And I wore like boots, honestly, when I was over there, and like sneakers. I mean, it's rough walking on those streets over there. And of course, the world traveler Dorit's like, you would think I would remember how to walk on these cobblestones since I'm so traveled and seasoned and doing this and living in Europe. But her shoes were like the highest, obviously. And yeah, I was seeing a housewife maybe potentially going down, snapping an ankle. That wouldn't have been good. Then on the Sprinter van, this is always when they could either have fun conversations or get into heated arguments. So they're having some interesting conversations. I feel like overall they're just really getting to know each other on an even more deeper level at this point on this trip. So Sutton and Garcelle said they would never get remarried. Anna Marie asked if they found Mr. Wonderful. They both said no. Sutton probably doesn't want to get remarried because she doesn't want to share her money with anyone. And if Sutton ever got remarried, like we know she's not going to say it on TV, but that alimony she getting would stop. So she will find Mr. Wonderful and never get married. And her and Mr. Wonderful will live off of her alimony because once you get remarried, that stuff stops. So she's not stupid. She ain't doing that. And Garcelle said she doesn't want to share her money with someone, which is truth. And then they're like, oh, just do a prenup. And then Erica's like, they can have ways around that. And it doesn't even matter. And then Kyle is admitting that she just signs documents and doesn't read them. And I'm like, oh no, don't pull a Teresa Giudice. That's why she went to jail. She was just signing stuff that Joe had her sign because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your spouse. Like, if my husband put a 30-page document in front of me right now, I would not sit down and read the whole thing, let alone call a lawyer to read it for me. I would trust him and sign it. And I'd be like, well, did you at least read this? Because one of us should read this. And if he said yes and I understand it, trust me, sign it, I would. So Kyle's like, yeah, I just sign my life away and hope for the best. And then in Erica's confessional, she says, that's how I got into trouble. Kyle, make sure you watch out. But I don't think at the end of the day, Mauricio is like an awful human. Like Tom and Erica was a little different. Like they're like have a big age gap. I feel like treated her like a child and would like talk down to her. Like they always show that one flashback of him, Erica, Lisa, and Ken back when like LVP was on Beverly Hills, going out to dinner. And he's talking, and then Erica kind of wanted to like chime in. I mean, she did kind of like interrupt, but I feel like she was also trying to like sound like intelligent and get into the conversation. And he's like, excuse me, Erica, I'm not done. Like totally talking to her like a child. And so their marriage was like that. So Kyle, little different. And like she says, when she met Mauricio, he had no money. Like he was poor. So she's like, definitely trusting him, and I don't think he would lead her down a dangerous path. And if he does, we're coming for you, just like we all came for Sandoval. So get ready, Mauricio. But then the tour guide is strumming along on that little guitar, waiting for them to start their little flamingo dancing dinner, which so cute. These are the things that you like jot down. Like if you are planning to go to Barcelona, like jot this restaurant down and go here because it looks so cute. And I love that little famous pathway they walk under with all the colored umbrellas. Like you see those in a lot of pictures or paintings, like super cute. I love seeing all that stuff when you go away. Just stuff you wouldn't see here. So then they all are doing like this cheers. And this is like when I do like Dorit, but this is when she gets annoying. Like kind of like a know-it-all, like I'm so cultured and travel and I can speak like 5 languages. So the little tour guide dude is like doing the cheers. And I did remember Kyle said at the end that Mauricio always does this cheers. And I remember once she said that, I remember hearing him do it before on the show. But like Dorit is trying to like cut him off and like start the cheers before him. And he's like, no, that's not what we're doing. And I was like, tell her to shush and just let you take over. Like shush tour guide sidekick Dorit. So they do their little cheers. They get in the restaurant. And the waiter's like, can I get you guys something? And they were like, yeah, alcohol. We love alcohol. Minus Kyle. No, they didn't say minus Kyle. But they're like, yeah, we like to drink. So then they all order their drink orders. And again, Dorit being annoying, being like, let me show off that I can speak another language. She's like, a Coca-Cola, normal. And then Kyle in her confessional is like, just say Coca-Cola normal. And like, also, why are you saying normal? Just say Coca-Cola. Like, they know what Coca-Cola is. And I have to add, I don't like soda, but when you're over there and they give you the glass bottle soda and it's even more fresh than it is over here, that shit is good. So I did have me some glass Coca-Colas. Coca-Cola normal, as Dorit would say, when I was in Italy. But that's what I mean, like so annoying. We know you like can speak lots of languages and you're on vacation in another country. So then they all talk about their favorite moments of the trip. We know no one's going to talk about Crystal and Anna Marie having their fight or Crystal going to the hospital. But then Anna Marie asks Erica what she meant by what she said earlier at the letting things go ceremony, basically. And it's like, girl, the point of it was we're letting it go. We're leaving it here with the flowers in the water, not talking about it again. But here you go, bring it up again. And one thing I'll say that no one liked on the trip is her being on the trip, us included, watching as viewers. And take it one further, none of us like you on the show. I mean, gosh, I really hope she's not back next season. I know we thought we had it bad with Teddy, but nothing could be worse than Anna Marie. I'm sorry, because Teddy was more bearable than her. Now, Teddy on her podcast is probably worse than watching Anna Marie on this show, but Teddy on the show was at least better than her. But then all the ladies brace themselves on their faces. Like you see it like panned everyone's face. They're like, like that kind of look. Like, you know, that's what they're saying in their brain. And they're all like big-eyed and like bug-eyed and like they've just seen a ghost in the haunted house that they're staying in. But Erica said she's just more relaxed, but the trust is earned. And I think she just like means when she was going through the tough time, she really thought they would be a little more empathetic. And instead they were like worried about asking her legally what's going on and like telling her like, oh, well, you should do this. It's like, well, you're not my lawyer, so I'm not going to listen to you. But then she said she's moving onward and upward and she is having like her Vegas residency, and then Sutton is raising the glass for everyone to cheers. And she said, you know, we're all going to support you in that. And I see that some people got door-to-door invites, but we're all congratulating you on the show. So then it shows a little scene and you could hear Kyle's voice in the background. So you could tell she was going to Kyle's house because it just showed her on the road with the limo and like the Vegas showgirl, like a giant ticket. Like, you know how when they show up to your house, when you win like those like weird game show things. I don't even remember what they were. But remember when they used to show, they'd ring the doorbell and they're like, hi, you just won $20,000. And the lady's like, oh my God. And she's like crying and it's like the big giant check and like that. So it looked like that. But it was like a big giant ticket to her Vegas residency, like announcing it, which is cute. She should have done it to all the girls on the show. I mean, it is rude she left Sutton out because her and Sutton are getting along. And Sutton reminded everyone that she chartered the private jet for them to all go see Erica in Chicago. I think that was when it was in New York. So, and side note, is it so ironic that like everyone on the Bravo universe has played Roxy Hart? Like Lisa Rinna did, Erica did, Ariana is right now, and then somebody else did that I can't remember. But like, just crazy to think about. I need to look that up and actually just make like a faces of people that have played Roxy Hart. But I thought that was weird that she left Erica out. She should have just done it to everyone, like I said. But Sutton's is like hopefully going to get over it, not hold it over her head. Kyle is getting really nervous to get up there because they're going to flamingo dance perform in front of the whole restaurant. Kyle doesn't have her margaritas in her anymore because if she did, she wouldn't be nervous at all. She'd push the dancers out of the way and go do her splits up there and wag that ponytail around. But now, sober Kyle is a little nervous. And she's like, Sutton, do you really think we're going to get up in front of this whole restaurant? And the flamingo dancer guy just got up and did his. And she's like, you really think we're going to get up there and do this? And Sutton said she just wants everyone to stay happy and have fun like this forever. But it's like making these ladies up here dancing ain't going to make them happy. And especially if one snaps an ankle in these tall high heels. But nobody does. They do a good little job. They don't really do much up there. But it was fun. They're like, we have some special VIP guests. And I was like, oh my God. Like just thinking about it, I'm like, could you imagine if you were just like, on vacation, or like me, if like when I was studying abroad, because I did go to Barcelona, if like my friends and I are out to dinner and the housewives happen to be there at the same time and they're getting up on stage. Oh my God. And I mean, you probably had to sign something ahead of time to not take pictures or film them, because if you think about it, that's spoiling the show because this happened like 6 months ago. So I'm not sure if they asked people ahead of time, like, we have these people coming into the restaurant, or if like they have to sign something or whatever. But that would just be crazy to be a bystander and watch these shows ever be filmed. I always think about that. But then it just pans to them going back home. Garcelle gets some like cute hot shoes in the mail that she said she's been waiting for. They look so expensive, but they also at the same time look like my daughter could have made them. Like there's like giant pretty princess gems like on these clear straps. I mean cute, but they were like $1,700. And I'm like, I think I could go to Target, buy plain heels that look like that. And then my daughter and I could like hot glue gun some like gems on it. Maybe we'll try that for an arts and crafts day one day. She loves the arts and crafts, my older one. Crystal, so speaking of kids, Crystal's with her kids doing homework, and there we go. Another pop-up from Costco. We see the Costco milk right on the counter. And then behind it, we see the Costco olive oil. She will never go broke. Dorit probably spends $300 on a little vial of milk and olive oil for their house because it's like chic. It's a chic bottle, PK, of olive oil. It's so chic. Karl Lagerfeld had it in his house, so I just had to get it. But Crystal is saving Rob's money, and I like it. They're saving those Lion King royalties by shopping at Costco. Love it. I just went to Costco today, and I thought of Crystal the whole time I was there. I was like, me and Crystal have so much in common. She's at Costco right now as well. And then it showed Erica at dance practice. She went down in a Kyle Richards splits form, and she's like, I still got it. And it's like, yes, you do. And side note, I cannot wait to watch her little 2-part behind the scenes documentary thingy of Erica Jane. And I forgot to mention in my gossip podcast that I released on Tuesday, The Housewife and the Hustler Part 2 is coming out on Hulu. I'm not sure when. I think it's soon. I have to look because I want to watch it, and then I'll talk about it on here because the first one came out like in the summertime, I think, and we watched it. But I'm shocked there's a part 2. I mean, she wasn't in it and neither was he. It was more all the victims' side, and that was really sad. After watching that, I was like, Tom Girardi's a bad man. He's, we hate Tom Sandoval, but Tom Girardi's a real bad man. He's definitely terrible, seeing all the victims suffer and their families. But I have a feeling that the part 2 is going to be like about Erica. So, and no, we won't see him on camera, but I wonder if we'll get any of his representation. But so when the second one comes out, I'll recap it on here. I'll do it on one of my gossip ones. But then Dorit goes over to Kyle's house and she's like, Kyle, just had to bring a Coca-Cola Normal to your house. And that's the other thing. She's so skinny. She's always drinking Coca-Cola. This is like 150 calories and like a bunch of sugar, and just soda's not good for you. But she said she's lagging, so that's why she's having a Coke. Now, I don't drink soda, but if I was lagging, I would just get an iced coffee because I feel like it gives me more energy and is like less calories, healthier for you at the end of the day. I mean, neither are healthy, but coffee's a little better. Kyle is just talking about therapy that she's going to with Maurizio, and she said she could be fiery and he kind of just wants to like walk away, diffuse the situation, keep the peace. So she said they don't like scream and yell and argue. Like it's not like a Adriana Christopher from The Sopranos situation, but she definitely wants to speak her mind and let it out. I feel like I can be like that. Like I need to get it out because I don't want to have pent up anger. I don't want to let it fester in my brain. I just kind of need to get my thoughts on the table. The other person needs to get their thoughts on the table, and then you go from there and solve it. So she just said that, you know, all of his traveling for work with the agency is just rough. And she's trying to tell him that, like, we need help. Like, our marriage is not doing well, but I don't want to give up, and we need to fix it. But you need to not want to give up, and you need to want to fix it too. And Kyle doesn't want to go out for the agency. So they show like a little clip, because we heard her say before, like, I don't like to stay out anymore. So she's like, oh, like, are you going to that agency party still later, Beverly Hills? Or no, it was buying Beverly Hills. So that show he did on Netflix. But kind of for the agency, you know what I mean? The show was about the agency. And he's like, yeah, it's 7 to 11. And he's like, are you going to go? And she's like, I don't know, probably no. And it's like, she's like, that's past my bedtime, or that is my bedtime. That's what she said. And it's like, all right, psycho, it's because you wake up at 4 a.m. Like she has revealed she wakes up at 4 a.m. Now I get it. I think 5 and on is acceptable, but 4, no. It's still, people could be out partying still at 4, like Tom Sandoval, leaving the lights on at his house, partying in the pool. I'm not awake at 4 a.m., but I'm just saying 4 a.m. is a little freakishly early. 5 and beyond is acceptable. 6 is totally reasonable and normal, but 4 is just too early. So no wonder your bedtime is like at 8 p.m. because you go to bed or you wake up so freakishly early. Now, I wonder when they film this stuff for the housewives, though, it's like late. They're not out like at 2 p.m. all the time. Like they do dinners and everything out there is late. Like LA or like New York, like especially New York, I feel like even more so. Like it is not abnormal to have dinner at 10 o'clock at night. Like that is normal. So I guess Kyle would just never eat dinner if she lived in New York, but so she's saying she doesn't want to go out anymore and do that. And then this part I totally agreed with. She said to Dorit, she wants to know why he can't give the energy to their relationship that he gives to work. So she's like, if he gets a phone call that something bad is happening at work, like he like freaks out and rushes to it like it's his baby, like tending to a newborn baby. And she's like, if there is no effort made into us, we will not survive this. And she's like, I just want him to give the same effort. And that made me so sad because I'm like, oh my God, like totally understandable. And like, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't be like putting your work number one. Like you could totally put it number 2, but your family has to be number 1 and your marriage. It's really sad. They are still in therapy till this day. I talked about that on my gossip podcast on Tuesday. She was on Jeff Lewis and said they're in therapy and they're working it out. And Jeff is like, good, because you need to work it out because the dating scene is just scary, Kyle. And it is true. I mean, I don't think she would like get remarried by any means. I could even see her like not even dating a man because she has her daughters and her questionable relationship with Morgan Wade and has lots of friends. So I could see her like not wanting to get back in the dating scene. And honestly, it'd be past her bedtime to get back into the dating scene anyway, because she's waking up at 4 a.m. and her bedtime is like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And the dates would be like, oh, that's when I thought we'd go on a date. But I guess we could meet for like breakfast, but by the time Kyle gets to breakfast, that's like lunch for her because she's woken up at 4 a.m. That's the other thing. I'd like to know her eating schedule since she just wakes up so early. So many questions of why she wakes up so early, which I have seen on her Instagram stories. One time it was like pitch black and it was raining and she was like filming the dogs outside, like in the rain. She's like, oh, it's raining in LA. And I did the math and it was literally like 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like, why are you up awake? Like you probably disturb your whole household too. Like that would be annoying. I could not imagine if someone in my house was like down here at 4 in the morning awake for like hours before I wake up. It's like so annoying. Like pipe down there. Like maybe she goes, that's probably when she goes and works out. And I feel like the gym is like not attached to their house, but I mean, pipe down, Kyle, at least if you're awake at 4 a.m. But that was it. I'm interested to see the reunion if they ask Kyle any more questions about her and Mauricio, but I feel like we're just really not getting anything besides like, we don't know and we're working on it. And as I always say, me and Morgan are just friends, so nobody asks anymore. But as always, this was so fun. You guys can find me on Instagram at RHOBH with a stay-at-home mom, Spotify, and Apple. And until next time, see ya.